On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, Tesla has delivered a stuffed stocking to its customers in the form of this year's holiday software update that adds over a dozen new features to the cars. Plus, more clear indications that Tesla is actually going to finally build the new Tesla Roadster. Rivian unveils its new custom full self-driving chip, and more. What's happening, friends? Alongside Daisy the Boxer and Lily the Silly Labrador Puppy, my name is Ryan McCaffrey. Welcome to episode 541 of Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast, publishing on December 14th, 2025. We are firmly in the holiday season. I am exhausted. I was in LA again for what I remembered. I was in my hotel room going, how many times have I been down here this year? And the answer is 8 times. I went to LA 8 times this year. 2 of those were for Tesla stuff, were to interview Franz for episode 500, and then just what was that, like a month or so ago? A month and a half ago for the most recent one. So yeah, a lot of trips to LA this year, and had a great time. I was there for a day job function, but man, I'm tired. But the good news is I got most of my podcast prep done before I left so that I was able to just touch it up. And here I go here with episode 541. Well, I am recording on my normal Friday night, but as I mentioned at the top of last week's episode, I was recording early because I was heading down to Arizona to visit my parents. And, well, every now and again, I do get burned by recording a little early, which is why I always preemptively apologize for it when I do. And sure enough, last week, Tesla did, in fact, have a fairly rare big news drop on a Friday, because typically, I have observed over the years, they tend to do all of their big business announcement-wise on Thursdays. And well, last Friday, they announced the holiday software update, which as of this recording, has begun rolling out to lots of cars, not necessarily everybody just yet. Speaking for myself, I have the holiday software update installing right now on our 2018, so on our Hardware 3 car. But my new car, the AI4 car, still has not received the update. But I wanted to go through this holiday software update with you now because there's a lot in here. And it's just, this is the biggest software update we get every year. Part of the just awesomeness that I try not to take for granted with Tesla is that they give us free updates all year long. And they will add, we don't get big new features every time, certainly, but we do get them on a regular basis. And then at the holidays, the Tesla team always tries to make it a little extra special by bundling a ton of stuff in there. Now, I know cynically you could say, well, maybe they're holding some of the features that they could just release throughout the year so that they put them out in this big holiday package. I'm not willing to argue about that, I should say. I'm willing to listen to that, but I'm not going to argue about it. Point is, every year we do get a big free software update that's always called the holiday update. And so I wanted to run through that with you now. So first up, there are over a dozen here, so this is going to take a few minutes. The first one is more Grok AI functionality. It's Grok with navigation commands, and Tesla says this is a beta implementation of this. Grok can now add and edit navigation destinations, becoming your personal guide. To use navigation commands, set Grok's personality to assistant. Well, I haven't had a chance to try this out yet, because obviously, like I just said, I've only got it installing right now in one car, still waiting for it in the other, but this one's pretty cool. Tesla posted a demo video of this in action on their X account, and the driver in this video, who happened to be in San Francisco, told Grok that he wanted to take a tour of the city and wanted to stop at 3 famous locations. So he speaks that, requests that of Grok, and the car planned a route for him through the city, around the city, that included stops at all three. So that one seems like it could be a really fun one for people, particularly when you're in a new place. Feature number 2, the Tesla photo booth. Turn your car into a photo booth. Take selfies from inside your Tesla and give yourself a makeover with fun filters, stickers, and emojis. Share with others right from the Tesla app. To access this, go to Toy Box and then tap Photo Booth. What a great idea this one is. Like, this is a genuinely, like, does it materially change your day-to-day driving? Of course not. But what a fun idea this is. It's just such a great way to get your friends and family involved in having fun in the car, which, the clip I play at the very end of every episode since he first said it some years ago from Elon, where he tells Joe Rogan in his first interview on that podcast, he says, a Tesla should be the most fun thing in your life, the most fun product in your life. I'm paraphrasing here, but this is a great example of that, the photo booth. So you're getting your friends and family involved. Everybody in the car is getting involved, having a little fun. Even if they're in the back seat, the cabin-facing camera can still see them. I mean, I do find it somewhat amusing to see Tesla using the cabin-facing camera all the time now for both practical day-to-day things like FSD, but also fun stuff like this. There's also the Zoom app from a couple years ago. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when I got my first Model 3 back in 2018, and that cabin-facing camera was in every single car, but it sat completely dormant, completely unused for many years. But Tesla is putting those cabin-facing cameras to work now after, again, loading them in every single car, every Model 3 that's ever been built, and then obviously every Model Y that's ever been built, and S's and X's from a certain point onward as well. So, love seeing a little fun with the cabin-facing camera. Feature number 3 in the holiday software update, dog mode live activity. So this is for my fellow iPhone users out there. When dog mode is active, you'll see a live activity on your iPhone featuring periodic snapshots of your vehicle's cabin, along with live updates on temperature, battery, and climate conditions. So I know I've said this before, dog mode is my second favorite software update ever. Well, at least since I became a Tesla owner. So everybody's timeline on that's going to be a little different. Number 1 for me is Sentry mode, like adding a free security system to the car, dash cam system, amazing. Dog mode, though, is a strong second on my list of favorite software updates that I've ever gotten since becoming a Tesla owner. So anytime Tesla makes dog mode better, it makes me happy. And this is a nice enhancement. Live activities is obviously a newer iOS feature. It's a pretty useful feature on the iPhone. In fact, just as I was flying today, the airline apps tend to make use of it now. United, I would say, makes particularly good use of the live activity function compared to Southwest, which is what I was on today, where they don't do too much with it. But anyway, live activities are a pretty neat little iOS feature. I'm not sure if... I don't want to get into the whole Android versus Apple war, because I know people have strong feelings about those. I have nothing against Android at all. I've just never used it. I know that they've got a lot of great features, and a lot of times they have features in Androids before iPhones do. But anyway, it's an iPhone feature for now, and it's cool to see this. I mean, Tesla is in fact already using live activities in another way, which is with supercharging. And some of you may have already noticed this, that when you plug into a supercharger, you'll get that live activity that tells you the status update of what's going on with your current supercharging session. So having all of that key dog mode information right on my phone's home screen without having to go back into the Tesla app, then go back into the dog mode screen, That is a really welcome feature. Love this one. Speaking of Sentry Mode, which I was mentioning a minute ago is my favorite Tesla software update ever, there was an enhancement to that as well, a dashcam viewer update. Dashcam clips now include additional details such as speed, steering wheel angle, and self-driving state. So I want to give a shout out on this one. I'm not sure if he's going to hear this, but to my friend Gregor Truck. That's his username on X. Greg, he's a really nice guy. He lives in the Phoenix area in Arizona. He's an outspoken Tesla Cybertruck super fan. I don't mean outspoken in a bad way, Greg, but he's a vocal. Let's put it that way. He's a vocal Cybertruck super fan on X, and he has been asking for this feature for a while now. And it's great to see the Tesla team deliver it because, I mean, in practical terms, it could be a benefit to insurance claims if, say, you can use this to prove what speed you were going, and if you are on FSD, if you end up, God forbid, involved in an accident. This could really be of use in a legitimate, actual life-changing, or at least extra security kind of way. Let's put it that way. Next, Santa Mode. Santa Mode now adds festive snowmen, trees, a lock chime, and snow effects for a 3D visual treat. Go to Toy Box and click Santa for this one. So it's nice to see Tesla just, again, continue to add to that. We've had Santa stuff, the reindeer, the sleigh and the reindeer for a while now, and so that's been added to. Hey, a new light show. We've got a light show update. Tesla says, new light show, Jingle Rush. Play instantly or schedule it up to 10 minutes in advance, either on a single vehicle or synced with friends. You can also control interior lighting, add display color effects, and create longer custom shows. So, again, more fun with the cars here. I do like to play every time that Tesla adds a new light show to the cars, which so far has been each of the last couple of holiday software updates. I like to play the new ones for my extended family at Christmas when we're all together. So I will do that again this year, probably on Christmas Eve, with Jingle Rush. Next, custom wraps and license plates for your in-car display. Personalize your Tesla avatar with window tints, custom wraps, and license plates. Use one of many preloaded designs or create and upload your own using a USB flash drive to make your vehicle unique. Access this in the Toy Box where you tap Paint Shop. So this one, I like this. If I can set my tint level to what it is approximately in real life, and I can put my custom license plate on my on-screen version of my car, that's fun. That's just a nice little, silly little thing that just, again, makes Tesla ownership just a little, like 1% more fun. So I appreciate Tesla leaning into the customization culture that is definitely very strong in the Tesla community with this one. Getting back to more functional improvements, we have navigation improvements. Reorder your navigation favorites and set home or work by dropping a pin anywhere on the map. You can also view suggested destinations based on your recent trips and habits while parked. So I want to key in on the first 4 words of that description. Reorder your navigation favorites. Being able to finally, after all these years, reorder my navigation favorites is kind of the silliest little thing that I couldn't be more excited about. Like the ratio of how like minor this feature is in the grand scheme of things to my actual excitement level, it's like it's an inverse relationship here. It's a tiny little thing in the grand scheme, but I'm really excited about that because now I can really get my favorites list in the order of basically preference, of most favorite down to my least favorite. So thank you, Tesla software team, for this one. While we are in practicality land, Here's one, supercharger sitemap. You can now see a 3D view of select Tesla superchargers by tapping View Sitemap. This is only currently available on 18 pilot stations. So Tesla says, when navigating to a pilot location, the site layout and live occupancy, in other words, available stall, occupied stall, or down stall, will be displayed upon arrival. I am going to have to go and make a point to try this one, because one of the 18 or so stations that this is being piloted at is one that, in fact, as it coincidentally happens, I was just there like a week ago, and I go there on a semi-regular basis because it's near the In-N-Out burger that I go to all the time, or at least the one I tend to go to when I go to In-N-Out burger. So I wonder if this is going to be eventually rolled out to every supercharger, or if they're piloting this because they're not sure if it's going to get utilized, if it's going to be worth putting the resources into in order to roll it out to every supercharger. I guess we'll find out. I suppose the best thing I can do if I want this feature to make it to be implemented for every supercharger is to go use it. So like I said, I'm gonna have to go try this one out. Another super practical one here, maybe the most practical of all the updates in the holiday software update this year, is automatic HOV lane routing. Navigation now includes an option to use high occupancy vehicle carpool lanes, or HOV lanes. Your route will automatically select the carpool lane when eligible based on time, location, passenger count, and road restrictions. To activate this, go to Controls, Navigation, and then tap Use HOV Lanes. So this one, yes, it is what you think it is. I've had at least one or two listeners call in asking for this over the years, and that is asking for the car to know whether or not to use the HOV lane based on how many passengers that it knows are in the car, either via the sensors in the seats that detect weight in the seats, and or via that cabin-facing camera. So here it is. Tesla is doing that. I also love that it knows what time now that it's, that you need to have multiple passengers in order to legally use the HOV lane, and what times, like on the weekends typically, where just anybody can use it. So this is probably going to be super beneficial to a lot of you, particularly if you commute to and from your job each day. Another super useful feature, in fact, this one I think my wife is going to very much appreciate, is phone left behind chime. Your vehicle will chime a few seconds after the doors close if a phone key is inside the cabin, or a phone is left on the wireless charger and no occupants are detected. Phone key detection requires a UWB-supported device. Go to Controls, Locks, Phone Left Behind Chime to turn this one on. So, again, a small but significant safety feature here. Speaking about my wife, so she has sometimes left her phone in the car when she drives to her favorite jogging spot, and she occasionally forgets to turn it off because she's a human being, and that's fine. And I know because I get the push notifications on my phone, since obviously both cars are on both of our phones. So I'll get the push notification telling me that the car's been left unlocked, and then I'll just text her back. So this one will be most welcome for her, that the car will now let her know if she's left the phone in the car when she goes jogging. Charge limit per location. You can now save a charge limit for your current location while parked, and it will be applied automatically next time that you charge there. Go to Controls, Charging to sort this one out. So if you tend to charge somewhere on a semi-regular basis where you only want to top it up a little bit, maybe it's at a public non-supercharger station where the cost per kilowatt hour is super high, so you only want to have it like do a few bucks worth rather than charge like all the way up to your charging limit. So now you can do that on a per location basis. We are almost done, by the way, just a couple more here. The next one is a SpaceX ISS docking simulator. Become an astronaut and prove your skills by docking with the International Space Station. Control and guide the spacecraft in this 3D docking simulator game using a set of controls based on actual interfaces used by NASA astronauts. Go to Arcade and SpaceX ISS docking simulator to play it. So a fun little way to kill a few minutes at a supercharger for this one. That's what it seems like probably the best, the most frequent use case for this one's going to be. And then under other improvements, we have enable or disable wireless phone charging pads in controls charging for S3, X, and Y, or controls outlets and mods if you have a Cybertruck. So for people that want to turn that wireless charging pad off, for instance, if you don't want your phone to cook on there because it's already reached the charge limit, well, there you go. You can turn it off. Next, in other improvements, add Spotify tracks to your queue right from the search screen and scroll through large Spotify playlists, albums, podcasts, audiobooks, and your library seamlessly without paging. Good stuff there. Then take the vibes up another level with rainbow colors during Rave Cave. Accent lights color will change along with the beats of your music. Go to App Launcher, Toy Box, and Light Sync to activate that. I will probably give that one a try because I love the Rave Cave. And then finally, Lock Sound now includes the light cycle from Tron. So go to Toy Box, Boombox, Lock Sound to find that. Good stuff. Maybe not the sort of top tier features, like in terms of like if we're assigning each of these new features a rank, like in terms of coolness or usefulness, like, and we've, S tier is the top, then A, B, C. This maybe isn't an S tier holiday software update compared to some other years, but it's a really good one. Like there's a nice, legitimately good mix of genuinely functional things here and then some fun stuff. So I wanted to see what you guys thought of the holiday software update, and thus I made it the subject of this week's Patreon poll. The question was simply, what new feature in this year's holiday software update are you most excited about? I think this poll set the record for most number of poll choices ever. There's like, I don't even know, it's maybe 12, 14, let's see, 3, 6. Oh, it's a lot. It's maybe like 15 plus. Thank you to the almost 300 people who kindly stopped by my Patreon page to cast your vote this week. A reminder, you do not have to be supporting me on Patreon to vote in each week's Patreon poll. It's free, open to everybody. Just swing on by patreon.com/Tesla podcast and cast your vote in each week's poll. The poll typically goes out on Tuesday night. So the winner of this week's poll, pretty handily, I would say, it had more than double the number of votes of any other choice. With 37% of the vote, Grok with navigation commands is the winner of this week's poll. Second place was the phone left behind chime, so clearly my wife will not be the only person looking forward to that one. That got 18% of your votes. Then 16% went to the dashcam viewer update that adds the timestamps it stamps the clips with your speed, steering angle, and whether or not FSD was activated. Everything else was single digits. Some didn't even get a single vote. So those are the clear winners in this week's Patreon poll. So again, thanks to everybody for taking the time to swing on by and cast your vote. Continuing along this week, a congratulations to Giga Shanghai and everybody that's worked there, past or present. They built their 4 millionth vehicle this past week, Tesla made a very brief announcement on their X account saying, quote, produced our 4 millionth vehicle at Gigafactory Shanghai, thanks to all our owners and supporters. And there are no doubt plenty of you. I don't know if I have very many listeners in China, but those of you in Europe who do not have a Model Y, those of you who drive in I guess really it would be a Model 3. So those of you driving Model 3s in Europe, you have a Giga Shanghai built car. If you've got a 3 or a Y in Australia, I know I've got plenty of Australian listeners, that's a Giga Shanghai built car. So if you're curious about the timeline here, I had to go back and look this up. This 4 million vehicle milestone, it's in almost exactly, like almost to the day, 6 years that they've achieved this. And considering that the Model Y, Tesla's obviously highest volume vehicle by a lot, didn't exist when Giga Shanghai first opened, and thus the early days of that factory were Model 3 only, the output at Giga Shanghai is genuinely pretty darn incredible, at least on the Tesla scale. And to that end, it dwarfs what Tesla's other factories produce. In fact, for a bit more context, Tesla as a whole just hit 8 million total vehicles produced by the entire company back in June. So 6 months ago, they hit 8 million. So Giga Shanghai has contributed nearly half, very nearly half of the cars that Tesla has ever built in just 6 years. And so really compared to those other 3 factories, man, no disrespect to Berlin or Fremont or Texas, but Shanghai, boy, has been on turbo mode for its entire 6-year run here. Next this week, Tesla is gamifying supercharging a bit in a fun way, and you could win free supercharging for the life of your car, at least as long as you own it, that is. Tesla posted on X saying, celebrate your year with Tesla. In January, free supercharging will be awarded to 9 outstanding users who explored their charging passport with the top 3 in each category below. Category 1, longest distance between superchargers visited. In other words, if you visited one in Alaska and then visited one in South Florida, in Miami, you've got a chance to win in that category. Number 2, category 2, most energy charged. So that's going to be your, pardon the pun, power users. And then category 3, most unique supercharger sites visited, meaning not Kettleman City as in a unique site that is unlike other sites, but the highest number of different superchargers visited. Max de Ziger from the Tesla charging team posted on X, as he often does when the Tesla charging team makes some kind of announcement. He said, quote, despite investing billions in superchargers, range anxiety is often the number one concern for buying a Tesla. With Passport, we want to, 1, inspire more customers to hit the road. I'm already motivated by the longest trip badge. 2, have customers share their Passport, amplifying the epic journeys they're taking with superchargers. Word of mouth from friends showing their actual trips feels the most trustworthy. Range anxiety turned into range confidence. So thank you, Max. Well, of those 3 categories, and I guess if I were to kind of generalize this a little bit, I feel like only the real road warriors out there are going to have a shot at winning this really appealing prize of having free supercharging for the duration of the time that you own the car. But I suppose that's the point of on Tesla's side, right? They want to reward those who use their cars and use the superchargers the most. So I can't be too mad about that. I suppose my only constructive nitpick to that would be that most people's lives that a lot of us, we love our Teslas, we love these cars, we love the superchargers, but most people's lives, I think it's fair to say, don't allow them to have really any shot in any of those three categories. I'm not saying that it's not a fair contest. I'm not trying to say that. But maybe Tesla could say, randomly choose 3 more winners, since they're doing these in sort of groups of 3 winners per category. Randomly choose 3 more winners among everybody who's visited at least one supercharger in the last year, right? Just add a little just random drawing to it. Because the downside, I think, in my humble opinion, I say politely, of awarding this to people who are already using the superchargers a lot is that they're already doing the thing that Tesla's trying to encourage. If you grab a few more random winners who aren't necessarily road warriors because their lives are structured in a way that doesn't necessarily allow that, it might encourage them to do more driving and more supercharging. But again, just a minor, maybe hopefully constructive bit of feedback there. I do think this is a great program, and I think it's awesome to see it. So good luck to all of you going for it on this, or maybe getting ready to go after it for next year, for 2026. And by the way, if you're wondering, wait, what's Charging Passport? Make sure that your Tesla app is updated. Then open up the Tesla app, go into the charging menu of the app, and you should see your Charging Passport lit up like a Christmas tree in the middle of the screen. Tap that, and it will show you your stats for the year and your achievement badges. I just want to give you mine real quick because they are fun. These are I'm going to give you my Spirit of Adventure stats, our 2018 car, because that's the one that we supercharge all the time because it's got free lifetime supercharging, whereas my new one, the Soul of Adventure, I don't think I've supercharged it once since my 3 free months of supercharging that came with the purchase of the car expired back in March. So, on the Spirit of Adventure, I only visited 7 unique superchargers. Clearly, I did not road trip in either car this year. I had a total of 86 charging sessions. I added a total number of supercharging miles added 7,479. And I have a bunch of charging badges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I got the Charging Streak badge, where I supercharged at least 10 weeks in a row. And in fact, my streak was 12, it says. I got the Mega Charger badge. You charged a total of 2.5 megawatt hours. It was technically 2,554 kilowatt hours, which obviously translates to 2.5 megawatt hours. To generate that amount of energy, you would have to walk on a treadmill for 327 days straight. My next badge is Green Driver, which I got for adding at least 5,000 miles worth of mileage via supercharging. They say that's 249 gallons of gasoline replaced with emission-free energy. Then I got the Sustainable Saver badge, which I got for saving at least $300 in gasoline savings. And in fact, mine, by charging with Tesla instead of using gas, you saved an estimated $1,176. Love that. And then my last 2 badges were the Supercharger badge, where I charged most at superchargers versus charging at home, which of course, again, for that car, that's what's worked well for us because it lives outside and it's easier to just supercharge it on the weekends when we're out and about. You charged 2 megawatt hours at superchargers, adding 5,908 miles of range. And then I got the first supercharge badge, which was, I guess everybody gets that one if you just supercharge once. The first supercharger you visited this year was in San Bruno, California on January 2nd. so I did not waste a lot of time before I got to charging. That's really fun. I really like seeing Tesla do that. I know, was it Spotify, I think, that kind of pioneered that with the your year in review, and now like everybody's doing it, but so what? It's fun. Like, I'm glad to see Tesla getting in on that as well. Before I continue with plenty more Tesla and big Rivian news this week, just a quick word from my friends at XCare. Your EV warranty might be expiring before too long, depending on how long you've had the car, / how long or how far you've been driving it. So what is next? Well, you don't want something like a dead battery, a flat tire, roadside surprise. Those things can happen though. So when your factory coverage ends, the higher risk begins. That's where XCare EV Protection comes in. It is the #1 rated EV warranty. Yes, even ChatGPT and Grok say so if you ask them. XCare covers what others don't, from the EV battery and drive unit to towing, rental coverage, and 24/7 roadside help. Because if your EV stops, XCare does not. Check your vehicle's eligibility today at xcare.com. That's xcare.com. Or talk to a real person right now at 844-755-4186. That's xcare.com. Or call 844-755-4186. You guys know I am a now 2-time customer of XCare. We've got the second policy in effect on our 2018, so I'm not worried about anything that might pop up on what is a now 7-year-old car, and that's only going to get older. So drive with confidence with XCare. Oh, and by the way, I hope all of you who are kindly supporting me over on patreon.com/Tesla podcast enjoyed this week's, I won't say special, but it was a particularly unique lightning round this week, the extra bonus mini episode that I do exclusively over on Patreon each week. This one was my 1-year ownership review of my 2024 Model 3 Performance. I spent about 30 minutes just talking through the good and the bad. There were a couple of little bad things, nothing serious, but I talked through the entire experience thus far after my first year. So if you'd like to hear that and you're not already supporting me over on Patreon, that is how you can hear it, is by joining me on Patreon, supporting the podcast, supporting what I'm doing here each and every week. The support tiers start at just $5 a month. Those lightning round mini episodes every week on Patreon start at the $10 per month tier. That's the most popular tier. So again, head on over to patreon.com/Tesla podcast. And if you do decide to join at that $10 per month tier, you'll not only get instant access to all 170 something, yes, you heard me, 170 something lightning rounds up there, but you'll also get ad-free early access to each week's episode for as long as you're supporting me on Patreon. But if the $10 a month thing doesn't work for you, but you'd still like to support the podcast, there's the $5 per month tier as well. That's the base tier, and you'll still get an ad-free episode every week, and you'll get it early. As soon as it's done and uploaded on Friday evenings, you'll have immediate access to it. And then there are other tiers that go on up from there. So to find out all the information, head on over to patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Next up this week, more signs that the new Tesla Roadster is finally actually going to get built. I saw this on Tesla tipster Sawyer Merritt's feed, but it was first spotted by Tesla Yoda on X, who does follow me. So if you're out there, Tesla Yoda, you I must thank. Sorry, that was probably really bad. That's right, we're here to have fun. Tesla has posted 2 new jobs related to the next-gen Roadster specifically, in addition to the first one that I had already told you about, I don't know, a month or so back on the podcast. The new job postings are a manufacturing vision engineer for battery vision on the Roadster specifically, and then there's technical program manager in battery manufacturing for Roadster. So the manufacturing vision gig is based out of Palo Alto, so presumably at Tesla's engineering headquarters, whereas the other two job listings, this other new one and then the one I had first told you about a month or so back, those are in Fremont, presumably at Tesla's advanced battery facility on Cato Road, which is just down the way from the Fremont factory. I'm talking like it's like maybe a mile away, for those of you that aren't familiar. So anyway, here's part of the manufacturing vision jobs job description. Quote, scale advanced inspection and control systems for next generation battery products. This position will help drive technological advancement in this area as part of a small specialized team. Tesla is a demanding and fast-paced environment where you will work with a highly motivated team on extremely challenging projects. End quote. Again, this is on top of that first job posting that was spotted for this car that I talked about on that recent episode. And the reason that I mention this, I promise I'm not going to mention every single Roadster job listing that gets listed on the Tesla Careers website. But the reason why these first few are of particular interest to me is because, this is not exaggeration, there were exactly 0 job postings for anything specifically related to the Roadster prior to these few recent ones. So this truly, genuinely is the first indication that this car is finally going to convert from vaporware into an actual product that people can buy. So bring on April 1st, if in fact April Fool's Day is going to be the day that the unveiling happens. And if it is, that means there's less than 4 months to go before we finally see this car and its production intent version. Finally, I guess this isn't actually even really Tesla news specifically. It's in the Teslaverse. It's fun news about the upcoming expansion of the Boring Company's Vegas Loop. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal newspaper, the Boring Company plans Vegas Loop airport rides in early 2026. Rather than just tell you, I'll let the folks from the Las Vegas Review-Journal tell you. Here is their news clip on it.
Boring Company plans to offer Vegas Loop airport rides in early 2026, the company's president Steve Davis said during a live chat on X last week. Davis said the Vegas Loop has more than 10 miles of tunnels dug and about 4 miles of it are operational. He said the next step will be opening the University Center Loop, which will feature the first station to serve Harry Reid International Airport. Boring has a site on Paradise Road across from the Thomas and Mack Center and one at Palo Verde near the airport connector. Review-Journal transportation reporter Mick Akers tells us more.
Airport officials have confirmed they put in for their permit to be able to offer those rides. Earlier, last month, they got approval by the NTA to offer above-ground rides up to 4 miles, but they have to include rides within the loop itself. That's going to target the airport rides itself because there are 2 areas where they can kind of come out of ground and go to the airport, and they're both right near UNLV. They're not actually within the airport footprint, so they're going to have to be above ground for some portion of that travel.
For more on the Vegas Loop plans, visit lvrj.com.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I can't wait to get to Vegas at some point to try this out. I've got family there, so I do have a built-in excuse. So at some point, I will find my way to Las Vegas and definitely try out the Boring Loop. At least now, whenever my time to visit Vegas does arrive, I'll be able to just try it out straight from the airport. So that's a nice bonus. But I love seeing the expansion of this. Again, I've lauded Las Vegas leadership repeatedly because I'm so impressed with them for trying a new technology, trying something new that makes sense for their city and the way it's laid out and the weather. And it just seems like it's been a hit. You know, there's continued expansion plans for this in Vegas. So love to see it. By the way, if I have any Las Vegas listeners out there, I don't know why this pops into mind, but I guess because I've been making pizza now with my my home pizza oven that my wife got me last Christmas. And but if you're in Vegas, either you live there or you're going to be visiting, I have a pizza a recommendation for you. It's in downtown Las Vegas, so not the Strip, but downtown, and it's called Pizza Rock. It is a restaurant from San Francisco's own world-class pizzaiolo, Tony Gemignani, and I go to Tony's a lot. Not like a lot, but I go there at least a couple times a year, 2-3 times a year probably, which I guess for me is a lot. Just incredible pizza. And yeah, Pizza Rock. I haven't actually been to Pizza Rock, but I've looked at, like, I've checked it out, and it's got some of the same pizzas from the menu. Like, so it is a Tony's pizza joint, and thus, even though I haven't actually been there, I can definitely endorse it as a Tony Gemignani joint. So do take a look. In fact, try the New Yorker if you go. It's done in a proper coal-fired oven, and it is a tremendous pizza that anytime I've ever recommended it to someone and they actually try it, they actually go to Tony's here in San Francisco, nobody has ever come back to me with anything less than like, thank you, that pizza was awesome. So there you go. There's my free plug for Pizza Rock in Vegas. All right, let's move on to other EV news, which is very much headlined this week by Rivian, who held its own AI and autonomy day this week and unveiled its own version of an FSD computer, as well as its next steps in their roadmap towards autonomy, towards self-driving vehicles. I'm going to just tip my cap to Tesla Roddy. I was in LA for work and I wasn't able to watch this, and then I came right home and had to do the podcast. So I'm gonna tip my cap to Tesla Roddy and read you their article on it, which I thought summed it up pretty well, because I saw a bunch of stuff on social, and so here's the gist of it, courtesy of Tesla Roddy. Rivian unveiled its self-driving chip and autonomy plans to compete with Tesla and others at its AI and Autonomy Day in Palo Alto this week. Rivian, a mainstay in the world of electric vehicle startups, said it plans to roll out an Autonomy Plus subscription, as well as a one-time purchase option priced for the subscription at $50 a month, $49.99 per month. And if you want to do the one-time purchase, $2,500 for access to its self-driving suite. Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe said it will learn and become more confident and robust as more miles are driven and it gathers more data. This is what Tesla uses through a neural network, as it uses deep learning to improve with every mile traveled. RJ said, quote, "I couldn't be more excited for the work our teams are driving in autonomy and AI. Our updated hardware platform, which includes our in-house 1,600 sparse trillion operations per second inference chip, will enable us to achieve dramatic progress in self-driving to ultimately deliver on our goal of delivering level 4. This represents an inflection point for the ownership experience, ultimately being able to give customers their time back when in the car," end quote. At first, Rivian plans to offer the service to personally owned vehicles and not operate as a ride-hailing service. However, ride-sharing is in the plans for the future. As RJ said, quote, "While our initial focus will be on personally owned vehicles, which today represent a vast majority of the miles in the United States, this also enables us to pursue opportunities in the rideshare space," end quote. Rivian is not using a vision-only approach as Tesla does, and instead will rely on 11 cameras, 5 radar sensors, and a single LiDAR that will face forward. It is also developing a chip in-house, which will be manufactured by TSMC, a supplier of Teslas as well, not to mention like half the world, side note. The chip will be known as RAP1 and will be about 50 times as powerful as the chip that is currently in Rivian vehicles. It will also do more than 800 trillion calculations every second. RAP1 powers the Autonomy Compute Module 3, known as ACM3, which is Rivian's third-generation autonomy computer. ACM3 specs include 1,600 sparse INT 8 trillion operations per second, the processing power of 5 billion pixels per second. RAP1 features RivLink, a low-latency interconnect technology allowing chips to be connected to multiply processing power, making it inherently extensible. And then RAP1 is enabled by an in-house developed AI compiler and platform software. As far as LiDAR, Rivian plans to use it in its forthcoming R2 cars to enable SAE Level 4 automated driving, which would allow people to sit in the back and, according to the agency's ratings, will not require you to take over driving. Rivian said it will also roll out advancements to the second generation R1 vehicles in the near term with the addition of UHF, or Universal Hands-Free, which will be available on over 3.5 million miles of roadway in the United States and Canada. As Rivian says, it'll be able to work on any road with clearly defined lanes. Rivian will now join the competitive ranks with Tesla, Waymo, Zoox, and others who are all in the race for autonomy. Well, there you go. Thank you to Teslarati for that excellent summary. And first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Rivian, because while a lot of other automakers have autonomous driving plans or some kind of autonomous or semi-autonomous driver assistance features, Rivian is the first one outside of Tesla to actually design custom hardware specifically for the task. And I'm leaving Waymo out here because they're not a consumer. You can't buy a Waymo. So that is the kind of commitment that it's going to take, is designing and manufacturing your own custom designed chip, purpose-built chip. So glad to see that. Now, second, I do like the pricing here. $50 a month is obviously half the price of what Tesla's charging. That seems, by comparison, quite reasonable for a subscription, and $2,500 to buy it outright also seems pretty darn reasonable, whether you're comparing it to the $8,000 of Tesla or just taking it as a number on its own in a vacuum, $2,500. Now, if Rivian really wanted to make potential customers happy, in other words, there's one thing they could do that could really help get people off the fence and get them to buy it. It's they should make it a one-time $2,500 purchase that lives on your account rather than on the car, as Tesla has it, thus allowing you to take it with you if you were to buy a new Rivian, like an R2 or a future R3, and get rid of a previous one, trade it in, sell it, whatever. So I'd love to see them do that. That is something that Tesla owners have been asking for years, and the FSD transfer has been kind of the semi-permanent Band-Aid solution to that. But boy, would I love to see Rivian just go all the way and just say, yep, if you spend the $2,500, then it is you own it, and it is on your account, your Rivian account, so you can take it with you to a future vehicle. Hopefully they'll do it. We'll see. But honestly, it's great to have an attempt at competition with Tesla in the, again, personally owned vehicle autonomous driving space. That said, Rivian does have a long way to go. They've given demos, just like Tesla had done many years ago. Actually executing on it in the real world and having enough resources to allocate to it to iterate on those autonomous driving efforts quickly are going to be crucial if Rivian is going to achieve its goals and maximize its system's potential. I think about it, and the general parallels to Tesla here are somewhat amusing in kind of a coincidental way. I'm not trying to say it's like a dead-on one-to-one apples to apples thing here, but just let's just take a couple steps. Take a couple steps with me real quick. So, Tesla offered driver assistance features on the Model S and the Model X in the earlier days, as Rivian has now with R1S and R1T. But it wasn't until the cheaper, more mass market Model 3 came along with more hardware and better hardware built into every single car, just as Rivian is doing with R2, that really set Tesla up to be able to take the next real step towards autonomy. So there is sort of that S leading to 3, R1S leading to R2 parallel of the both the sort of their progression in moving down market, but also their progression in their autonomous efforts as well. Now, of course, people are already pointing to the hardware differences, and they are substantial, between Rivian's setup and Tesla's. Rivian, as you heard there, is using LiDAR as well as radar cameras, whereas Tesla, of course, famously dropped radar years ago, and they've never been believers in LiDAR. It is a camera, it is a vision-only approach for Tesla. So time will tell if one or the other proves to be, quote-unquote, better. Like, we can all see what version 14 is doing as a vision-only product in our cars right now, and it's pretty darn good. Is it eyes off? No, we're not quite there yet, but Tesla's making pretty sweet progress with the vision-only system. So it'll be great to see what Rivian can do with the additional hardware that they are equipping all of their future vehicles with. Because, it's two different approaches to the same problem, right? It's not necessarily that one's better than the other. Could Rivian end up surpassing Tesla because of hardware? Yeah, they could. Could vision only end up being good enough, meaning a lot safer than a human, even if maybe on some technical level the Rivian setup is better in some measurable way? Yeah, maybe. But it's just two different approaches to the same problem. And it's a good thing that Rivian's also trying to solve that problem. I am rooting for them because more safer driving autonomous vehicles on the road, or at least autonomous capable vehicles, that's a good thing for all of us, whether you own a Rivian or not, whether you own a Tesla or not. I mean, Tesla certainly has had a heck of a head start on Rivian, but on the flip side, that head start has also allowed Rivian to learn from the path that Tesla has paved, and it allows Rivian to potentially advance their efforts more quickly than Tesla advanced theirs, because of course Tesla was at the tip of the spear with this. They were really forging new ground. Now, for me personally, if I were buying an R2, would I pay $2,500 for that lifetime package? The answer is yes, but I wouldn't do so until Rivian actually deployed something meaningful to customers. And that may be coming soon with the hands-off, with the 3.5 million miles worth of U.S. roads. So that hopefully is coming soon. But yeah, if I were buying an R2, I would need them to deliver me something first, something tangible that actually works, before I'd use it. And I feel like a lot of Tesla owners that maybe are also buying a Rivian for the family, or maybe switching over to Rivian potentially for, it's all one happy EV family here. But I think a lot of Tesla customers out there bought FSD on a promise, and for some of you have waited years, or in some cases even parted ways with your car before you ever got anything even remotely resembling FSD. And so I suspect there are people that are keen to not make that same this decision again to purchase on a promise. People are going to want to actually see it in action before spending the money. And I would be in that group if I were buying an R2. A couple more things for you. I know it's been a super busy week of news here. Subaru has announced that its new EV called the Trail Seeker will start at $40K, $39,990, when U.S. deliveries start in early 2026. Another tip of the cap to our Tesla tipster friend Sawyer Merritt, who posted this on his account after Subaru made their official announcement of their new mid-size crossover EV. It's got a 74 kilowatt hour battery. The range is up to 280 miles. Put a pin in that for a second. Up to 150 kilowatt peak charging speed. Of course, it's got NACS. It's got an 8.3 inch ground clearance. It's rocking 375 horsepower, a 0 to 60 time of 4.4 seconds. It can tow 3,500 pounds. It has a battery preconditioning system, and it's more than 6 inches longer and an inch taller than the Subaru Solterra. There are 3 trims: Premium, which is your $40,000 one, Limited, which is $44,000, and Trail Seeker Touring, which is $46,500. So this sounds pretty solid, and I do like the look of it. I think it's a nice looking car. However, I'll just say I am a bit concerned about the up to 280 miles of range. Does that mean, I don't have the answer to this yet, does that mean that the $40,000 version gets less than 280 and that you have to get the either the $44,000 or maybe even that top end $46,500 version to get the 280 miles of range? Because obviously, as we all know, Tesla's Model Y Standard also starts at $40K, but you get 321 miles of range there, which is a massive 40 mile difference on that. Still, there are people out there that are just not going to buy a Tesla for whatever reason, whether they're Subaru loyalists or whatever. So even if the Trail Seeker doesn't necessarily match up perfectly to the Model Y Standard, it is still a good thing to get more lower cost EVs into the marketplace in order to welcome new people into the EV tent. And the last story that I have for you this week, before I get to a few of your phone calls in this week's Ride the Lightning hotline, is about next year's Porsche Taycan. It's going to get a unique new feature, and that is simulated gear shifts. Oh, and it goes further than you think it does. Saw this one on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, Porsche is reportedly preparing, to introduce simulated gear shifts across its EV lineup, a feature designed to bring back the driving engagement many enthusiasts miss in modern electric cars. The first model to showcase what Porsche is calling a virtual transmission will be the refreshed Taycan, expected to hit showrooms in late 2026 as a 2027 model. Dealers were briefed on the plan during a closed-door conference in Atlanta last month, where Porsche confirmed sales teams should be ready to introduce the technology when order books open in August of 2026. While the company isn't officially commenting, it also isn't denying the information, instead noting in comments to website The Drive that researching features like this is a standard part of its development process. If the idea sounds familiar, that's because Hyundai's high-performance Ioniq 5N put fake gear shifts and sound effects on the map, and Porsche's own engineers have taken notice. Frank Moser, who oversees Porsche's two-door product lines, recently admitted the Korean EV changed perceptions internally. Quote, "It was eye-opening," Moser said after testing the Ioniq 5 with GT vehicle boss Andreas Preuninger. There we go, I got it. Quote, "They did something which was impressive," end quote. It appears the Stuttgart team now wants its own take on a feature that adds physical rhythm and predictability to EV acceleration, a driving sensation many purists feel is missing from single-speed electrics. Porsche isn't simply bolting on a sound profile. Engineers from its dual clutch and automatic transmission units have reportedly been calibrating virtual shift points to feel shockingly close to a real gearbox. One prototype driver told The Drive he, quote, could not tell the difference compared to a traditional torque converter setup. However, the feature won't be available via software update for existing Taycan owners. The simulated shifts require paddle shifters, something absent from earlier model years. The new hardware will arrive with the refreshed cabin and updated Porsche communication management system. Importantly, Porsche is expected to let drivers choose when they want the theatrics. Moser has said that EVs should still be able to cruise silently without artificial jolts or engine noise, meaning the virtual transmission will simply be another toggle on performance mode. Now look, I know some of you might laugh at this, because it is kind of like pumping the sound of horse hoofs clopping on cobblestone streets through the stereo speakers of a gas-powered car 30 years ago, or even much longer ago. But here's the thing. This feature is not really for you or me, i.e., people who have already been converted to EVs. It's there to convince those Porsche enthusiasts who haven't been won over by electric to come on over. It's there to try and replicate an enjoyable part of the enthusiast internal combustion engine car's experience so that those people are finally willing to give EVs a try. Now, personally, I love manual transmission gas cars. I will tell you, I still miss my 5-speed manual DeLorean. It was fun to row the gears. I do miss that sometimes. Obviously, my Tesla, both of them, are worlds quicker. And, it's just they blow away the 40-something-year-old DeLorean by every metric, of course. But it is fun for me to row the gears in a manual transmission car. For me, the first EV I ever drove, I've told this story, was the original Tesla Roadster, which I will note had zero sound insulation in the cabin or between you and that single rear electric motor. And so when you got on the accelerator in that car, it sounded like the Millennium Falcon going into light speed. And for me, the first time I experienced that, even though I drove to that test drive in the DeLorean, in a manual transmission car, I found that sort of light speed, hyperspace, EV, the motor whine sound, I found it delightfully intoxicating in its own unique way. And just as a quick aside, I know I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, in case anybody, the right people from Tesla are listening. I'm really hoping that Tesla skips the sound deadening on the motors in the new Roadster so that I can really hear those 4 motors whine. Yes, I fully expect the new Roadster to have 4 motors by the time it makes it to production, because 3 motors has been done. It's been done for years now, both certainly from Tesla and from others as well. But anyway, the EV movement here is still small. That's something to keep in mind. People like you and me, we are still just a tiny fraction of car drivers out there. If putting in paddle shifters with simulated gear shifts helps bring more Porsche drivers into the EV tent, that is a good thing. In fact, what I would really love to see is for somebody to do a story about a year after this new Taycan comes out to see how many owners of that car, people that buy the 2027 model Taycan, how many of them are still using the paddle shifters after 1 year of ownership. because I would be willing to bet, not because it's dumb but just I'm willing to bet that if that helps get them in the car, that after a year of ownership, a large portion of them, I won't say necessarily a majority, but a substantial number of those owners will have turned that feature off after a year of ownership or within a year of ownership. But again, if it helps convince them to buy the EV in the first place, then it is worth it. All right, that is everything in an extremely busy week of Tesla news, but I've still got a few of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls teed up and ready to go. Those are coming up next.
Hi, this is Franz von Holzhausen, and you're listening to Ride the Lightning with Ryan McCaffrey, the Tesla unofficial podcast.
Wow, I can't believe the podcast has already gone on for 70 minutes. There's just so much to talk about this week. I do want to get to a few of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls, so I will do just that here in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you how you can call in, if in fact you feel motivated to call in and potentially be featured on an upcoming episode. So, if you've got a Tesla or EV related question, comment, or discussion topic, feel free to drop me a line in one of two ways. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question, and please try to keep your call to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible. Then email that file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less call and actually call in with it and leave a message on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number you can dial at any time, and that number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special out there with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Andrew from Ottawa, following up to my recent poll about your favorite Tesla feature.
Hey Ryan, it's Andrew from Ottawa calling. Calling is a bit of a follow-up to your poll of what is your favorite Tesla feature. And I have to say it's gotta be FSD. Maybe that's biased because of previous background in first response, but the anti-fatigue during long road trips is just a must-have. So I decided to do a bit of due diligence recently. I went into a bunch of dealers and test drove a bunch of vehicles. So I drove the Ford Mach-E, the GM Blazer EV, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Polestar 3, and it was great to experience what each manufacturer had to offer. But one of my main questions was, do you have any kind of driver assistance features? And then what, if they do, what is your roadmap towards making those more available? And two of the ones that had lane keeping help laughed when I asked, like, do you have plans to bring this onto city streets? And they said only Tesla does that. And that was really disappointing, but echoes your sentiment into the future of other manufacturers if FSD is officially solved at some point. It's simply a non-starter for me for any future vehicle purchase that doesn't have FSD. And so that's just really disappointing that there is no one else in there. Anyway, thanks for all the great work you do. Happy holidays and take care.
I appreciate your call, Andrew, and happy holidays to you as well. To respond to what you had to say, first of all, good on you for going out and making a point to test drive a bunch of other EVs. I think that's awesome. In fact, I really need to find the time to go do that myself. I've driven a few others over the years, but I need to get back out there. Anyway, I think to your point about future vehicle purchases hinging on FSD or a similarly advanced driver assistance system, I think that's a policy that's going to be adopted by a lot of Tesla owners out there who either have or have tried out the FSD software via one of the free trials, like, in fact, the one that just went out recently with 14.1.2. I mean, Tesla's moat, if you will, used to be the superchargers. You would buy a Tesla over any other EV because of the superchargers. But Tesla, in its mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, didn't just want people buying its cars over other EVs. It wanted people buying EVs over other gas-powered cars. And that's why the supercharger network got shared with the rest of the industry. Does it help that it's a revenue driver for Tesla? Yes. Both of those things can be true at the same time, certainly. But I firmly believe that Tesla making that decision, regardless of revenue impact, is a hugely good thing in the company's mission. But as you rightly point out, Tesla still has a moat, a new moat, a bigger moat, one that will be even harder for competitors, be they gas-powered vehicles or electric vehicles alike, to match, and that is FSD. Even as other EVs' software gets better, their range gets better, etc., it's going to be FSD and autonomy that are going to bring people to Tesla specifically. And it's going to be really fascinating to watch that play out over the next probably 3 to 5 years or so. Call it the rest of this decade, I guess. Cheers, Andrew. Thank you for your call. Next up this week, as Lily the Silly Labrador chomps away on what I guess is a bison horn. It's literally a horn from some animal. I think my wife got it while I was out of town seeing my parents last weekend. And she loves it. She's just chewing away on that thing. Anyway, if you're hearing that in the background, that's what it is. Dimitri from Montreal is up next.
Hi Ryan, this is Dimitri calling from Montreal, Canada. I hope you're doing well. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. And first of all, I wanted to say a big thank you to everything that you're doing for the Tesla community. I'm running on FSD version 14.2.1, and the feature request that I'm calling about is very similar to what your previous caller called in about, setting the speed limit at which you want the car to drive. So sometimes you want to put it a bit above the speed limit, sometimes you want the car to drive under the speed limit for various reasons, like let's say rain, or it's at night, or any other reasons, or snow. But currently the right scroll wheel doesn't allow you to do that. What it does, it changes between speed profiles when you scroll it up and down, but it also does the same thing when you push the scroll wheel left and right. So what I like to suggest is that instead of having two different actions, change the same menu, keep the left and right pushing for changing the speed profiles, but bring back the scrolling up and down where you set the actual speed limit at which you want the car to drive. So then you would solve the problem that the previous user mentioned, and the same thing for me. I find trying to change the speed limit, but it doesn't want to set the speed limit. So let me know what you think, and wishing you and the dogs a very nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, Dimitri. Thank you for your call and for your kind words. For what little it's worth, I agree with you. It is silly that the right scroll wheel functionality is duplicated between the wheel and the left and right clicks of the wheel. I agree that it would be a great use of the wheel if you could set the maximum speed. Now, the reason why I say that my opinion is worth so little here is because when this change was made in version 14, a Tesla AI team member posted on X. I can't recall if I mentioned it on the podcast or not. Maybe I didn't. But a Tesla AI team member said something on X to the effect of, all input is error on FSD. And so that's why they removed the ability to set your max speed, which of course had been there in every previous FSD version. And that wording, of course, is something that Elon would say. And thus, my guess is that Elon did say that in a meeting with the AI team about FSD version 14, and that's why that functionality was removed. I mean, I'll say this. We've seen Tesla walk back decisions that they've made before, like, say, with the price of FSD, the deletion of the turn signal stalk, to name a couple of examples. And so I'm with you that I would like to see them put this back in, put in the max speed back in. But if I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to be a downer here, but I'm not optimistic that they're going to put it back in this case, because Tesla is on such a focused mission here with autonomy, and I just don't see them putting more user control back into the system. They're going to continue to automate it and remove the human from the equation more and more and more until they've managed to completely remove the human, and they're getting there. So I hope I'm wrong, because again, I think it'd be good to have that max speed at your literal fingertips, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for calling in, Dimitri. I've got just time for one more call this week. It is David with a used Tesla question.
Hey, Ryan, this is David. I have a question. If you buy an X or a Y, no, X or an S, does supercharging come free with the car when it's been used? Period. Just had that question, so I didn't know if a used S or X it comes with supercharging anytime you buy one off of a used car lot. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, David. I appreciate your call. You're probably not going to like my answer, because that answer is, it depends. Older S's and X's should have it when it's not been traded back into Tesla and you're buying from a third party. Newer ones, however, probably won't, because Tesla got rid of that perk mostly in recent years. So here's something that is a little more constructive. If you can physically go look at the car yourself that you're considering at the used car dealer, go into the car menu screen, the controls in the lower left corner, then tap charging. You will see in the middle of the page a line for last paid supercharging session. So in my 2018 Model 3 Performance, that, as I mentioned earlier, has free lifetime supercharging on it, it shows the location and the date of that supercharging session, and then shows $0.00 for the amount paid. If you see that in the car that you're looking at, then that car should have free lifetime supercharging on it. I hope that's helpful, David. Good luck in your search, and thanks for your call. And thank you again to everybody for taking the time to send in your phone calls. I promise I will get to more of your calls on next week's episode, so keep them coming. If you heard something this week that you'd like to respond to, whether it was just one of the news stories or my opinion on something, whatever it might be, or you've got a question, feel free to fire them my way. Real quick here, as I get towards the end of the podcast, as for what's going on with me and my cars, well, not much, because like I said, I was away on business this week, but I will remind you, I am still looking to sell my set of original 20-inch sport wheels, silver in color, silver sport wheels from my Model 3 Performance. If you are interested in those, they will make your Generation 1 Model 3 look excellent, in my humble opinion. Yes, there's a range trade-off. I'm certainly not going to try to hide that. But if you're interested in those wheels, they come with Michelin Sport 4S tires that have about half the tread wear still left on them. But if you're interested in those, please reach out to me. The best way in this case would probably be via email. So teslapodcast@gmail.com. I want to give a quick shout out to loyal listener Joey Combs, who wrote to me to let me know that he had started a Ride the Lightning subreddit. That is pretty cool. If you'd like to join the subreddit, it's r/RTL pod. RTL pod, if you want to join it. I will certainly pop in there on a semi-regular basis. Hopefully it can organically kind of get going, get off the ground on its own. Time for your Tesla Pro Tip of the Week. It comes from Chad. Go ahead.
Hi, Ryan. This is Chad. I'm a longtime listener. I just had a pro tip that I thought might be useful for folks. I recently upgraded my wife's iPhone to the 17 and then inherited her previous phone, which is a 16. and I found that the key wasn't working with her old phone or my new phone, and it turned out that in order to make the locks work properly for the on the Model S, it required that I delete her old profile with the same phone. It seems as though that the software doesn't allow for the same phone to be under two separate profiles. So if anybody's having problems with their locks after inheriting the phone, that's probably the issue. I thought everybody would like to hear that. Thank you for all you do, Ryan. I'll look forward to hearing this. Thanks.
Thanks for that constructive suggestion, Chad. I think that will be useful for many folks out there. And to share a related anecdote, when I moved from my iPhone 12 to my iPhone 17 a couple months ago, I cloned the phone. That's one of the options they give you when you're going from an old one to a new one. So I cloned it to move all my stuff over. However, my Teslas didn't like that. I ended up having to set up the phone key again. Now, it only took a moment, and I do quite literally mean a moment. It was super quick and painless. But I will point that out just in case anybody might be getting a new phone over the holidays so that you'll know to expect that little tiny extra step. And if anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, I would love to hear it so that I can learn from it and share it with all of you so you guys can learn from it too. So send it in the same way that you send in the regular Ride the Lightning hotline calls, which I gave you the 2 easy call-in methods for at the top, or just a little while ago anyway. I guess not. What is the puppy doing? What's going on down there, pups? She just jumped up and smacked her poor back into the desk that I'm recording this podcast on. You okay? All right, there we go. Anyway, refer back to the hotline section from a little while ago to get those call-in instructions. Some friends of Ride the Lightning to let you know about here before I step away for the week. Starting with abstractocean.com, they got a million great aftermarket Tesla accessories. In fact, just clicking on the best sellers for Model Y. So $20, they've got door noise reduction seals. They've got the premium rear footwell lights. So those they go under the chairs of the first row on the risers to kind of literally brighten up the second row of the car, which I think is pretty cool. Those are $40, available in 4 different colors, by the way. They also have multicolor front and rear footwell lights for both 3 and Y. That's pretty nice. They've got logo covers if you want to just put a black cover over your existing Tesla T badge to just change up its appearance a little bit, get rid of the chrome. You could get the Model 3 and Y performance pedals, the aluminum pedals. They pull right off and the new ones go right on. Those are $25, available in 2 colors there as well. So the point is they've got a million great aftermarket accessories for all the Teslas, whether you have the old Y, the new Y, the 3, whatever you got. Check them out at abstractocean.com and make sure to use the coupon code RTL podcast, all one word, at checkout to get 15% off of your first order. My friends at Every Amp, go to everyamp.com/RTL. They sell the snap plate, which is the front license plate bracket that I recommend because it's a nice, clean, minimalist look, but it doesn't stick to the car with automotive tape, meaning if you ever want to get rid of it, it can be like it was never there. But when it's on there securely. It's a great product. I do definitely recommend it if you either want or are legally required to have a front license plate on your car. There are 2 flavors. There is the regular snap plate, which is safety optimized with breakaway features to sacrifice itself in a worst case scenario like a parking accident or a car wash. And then there's the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus, which is strength optimized with hardened features for maximum strength. Both have their signature minimalist aesthetic that blends in beautifully with the Tesla front end. Both are made from recycled, made in the USA plastics with stainless steel reinforcements. If you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with your Tesla or another car that you super care about, I recommend that you contact Immaculate Reflections and book a spa day for your car. Have it detailed. Maybe you want to have it ceramic coated so that for the next 5 to 7 years, you don't have to wax the car. Like, it is protected and water will just beat off of it in that time. I love ceramic coating. Big believer in that. Maybe you want to have the paint corrected. Just all the little swirls and imperfections in the paint taken out. That is a professional detailing service that'll look great when it's done. Maybe you want to have paint protection film professionally applied to the front of the car, the key areas around the car, or maybe even the entire car to help protect from road debris, chips, rock chips, all that kind of thing. But you just got to get scheduled in. Now, the good news is there's a Ride the Lightning listener discount. So all you got to do, go to the website, which is irdetailing.com. Check it out, and then when you're ready to get in touch with Jeff, the owner there, just click one of the contact buttons, where you can find one in kind of the center of the homepage, also the top left of the homepage, and just mention what you're looking to do. Maybe mention your budget, mention your timeline, obviously, so you can get the appointment booked, and make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener, so that whatever service you have done, you will have the Ride the Lightning listener discount kindly extended to you. Finally, the Patreon. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to mention it again one more time right here. Patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. If you're in a gift-giving mood and you'd like to support me and what I'm doing with the podcast here on Ride the Lightning, Patreon is the place to do that. There are plenty of different tiers of the Patreon, starting at just $5 a month. There's also, though, an annual option. If you don't want to do a month-to-month thing, you can do an annual pledge to support me for an entire year, and I'll give you a 10% discount on that annual pledge as a way of me saying thank you for your full year of support. Check it out, patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, or click the link in the episode description. Patreon spelled Patreon. If you are not already following the podcast on your favorite podcast service, I recommend doing so. Why? It's free. The reason to do it is so that every time there's a new episode, you'll get a push notification on your device. So just search Ride the Lightning Tesla on any of your favorite podcast services, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube Podcasts, etc. Click the follow button, and that's it. You're done. New episodes, of course, drop every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, except for my Patreon backers who get it as soon as it is edited and uploaded, typically on Friday evenings. Finally, you can email me anytime about Tesla or EV-related things. Reach me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow me on X and or on Instagram if you would like to. No, it's not required. It's optional. But my username on both is DMC_Ryan. Lastly, this week, I'd like to say hi to the top tier Patreon backers. Thank you all so much for your support. I'd like to give you all your shout outs before I go. Actually, as I'm recording this on Friday night, on Sunday is going to be our monthly Patreon Zoom Hangout, which is available to everybody at these top tiers that I'm about to list. And a good number of them show up every month. And we always have a great time talking about all things Tesla, all things EV. It is a fun time, and I hope that a number of you that I'm about to mention will join in for this one. So thank you first to the Roadster in Space tier backers. They are Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Next up, the Maximum Plaid tier. Thank you to Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Chip Hooper, Matt Chinander, Robert Moran, Rav, Christopher Mann, and Michael Williams. And last but certainly not least, the grandfathered-in plaid-level supporters. Thank you to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that, my friends, will wrap it up for a very long 541st episode of Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast. Hope you enjoyed this one. I am just grateful that I have had just enough energy to get through it. Because like I said, I feel better now. I was more exhausted as I hit record to start this thing, but doing the podcast has re-energized me a bit. So I feel good. I am grateful to all of you for your time, for your enthusiasm, for your attention. It is not taken for granted. Thank you all so much. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday season so far. And as you know, this podcast operates 52 weeks a year. It is open 24/7, 365. It never closes. So I will be back with you next week, the week after that, etc. We'll see what we have to talk about as the holidays approach, and maybe the news is going to quiet down a little bit, but I'm here for you, so I'll see you next week. Happy electric motoring.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.